All right, today you're going to start programming with the CRX. We will learn how to start a new program. We will learn how to add movements, work I/O. We'll talk about where the I/O is located in this external cabinet and where you can find it in the controller. We'll navigate through the teach menu a little bit, but our goal is we want to pick one of these boxes off this conveyor and we want to place it onto this pallet. So that's our end goal for this. Hopefully we can work through that and you can follow along and achieve it. Let's go ahead and start here on the tablet. So let's look at this I/O stuff first, right? You're thinking, how do I read inputs? How do I control outputs from this robot? So let's take a look at that first, and then we'll get into setting up the program and everything. Because if we know that first, the programming will be much faster. So if we come up here to our menu and we scroll down, under status, we have I/O. If I click on I/O, we have a bunch of options across the top here. We are concerned in the DI for digital input and the DO for digital output. Right now, we have 4 digital inputs configured, and we have 16 digital outputs configured. The ones we have labeled are the ones that are currently wired up. The other ones are not currently in use. Not that they couldn't be, we just don't have anything addressed to them right now. So let's take a look at where we would wire these first, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to manipulate them. To see where the FANUC I/O on this CRX robot connects, we're down here at the controller. So I have the controller off, which allows me to open this door. When I open this door, we'll see right here, this is the external I/O card. So this is all your digital input, digital output, and safety signals for this CRX. There's a bunch of different ports. Not all of them are wired up to every terminal. What I have done to make this easier for us is I have installed a cable here with the majority of the I/O on it and moved it to a remote location so we don't have to keep opening this up. But this is the home for the digital inputs and digital outputs on the FANUC, right inside the door, right on the door. Looking at where you are going to interact with this CRX cart for inputs and outputs. Over here on the side, so the controller is right there. Over here on the side, I have mounted an electrical cabinet. This electrical cabinet houses that the end of that cable that I said I moved a bunch of I/O to. We also have a push button on the front just to interact with that. But if I open this up here, I have installed some terminal blocks here. This whole terminal block up here, this is that cable coming from the robot. If you look across the top, you can see what exactly each one of those are, whether it's a DO or a DI, digital output or digital input, if it's a 0 volt signal or if it's a 24 volt signal. This is all of these ports match up to a port over there on the door. That just saves us from opening and closing that cabinet a bunch of times to check things. Down here, I have mounted all of the external things. So whether it's a sensor, whether it's a conveyor, I have some relays down here. Everything coming in gets wired right here. And then there's jumpers that go from the real world devices up to the robot. Not that we couldn't wire directly up here to the robot, it just gives us more terminal block options. But this cabinet right here is where you will interact with the digital input and digital output for the CRX. Back on the tablet to finish up our I/O segment here, we learned where to find them. We learned where to wire them. So now let's learn how to interact with them and manipulate them. So starting on sensors, our digital inputs, because sensors are fairly the easiest, right? You have 24 volts going to your sensor that is sending a signal back to the robot, whether it is this green push button, which is down on the side here. You see I push this button, and that's just a normally open contact that closes. Or the sensors here. So we can see sensor 1 or sensor 2. You can notice you have a live status of all of these. You can simulate them as well. If you want to simulate, hey, when the sensor gets flagged, what happens? Or you can go around and flag them like this. Let's go ahead and switch over to the outputs. So outputs work very similar. The outputs are something that our program is going to tell the robot to turn on or off. So right now you can see all of our outputs are in the off position. We can see we have a couple labeled here. We'll go ahead and just pick conveyor. So this conveyor is controlled by a relay. Let's see if I can move my camera just a little bit here. The conveyor is controlled by a relay, and we can tell the program to turn DO12 on, and that will turn the conveyor on. We can also come in here and we can manipulate these. If I click on it, you see I got an off, and now I got a drop down menu. I can select on and see our conveyor is running here. I can do the same, and then I can turn it off. I can do the same with the vacuum. I can do the same with the lights. So you can come in here and test and manipulate your outputs by simulating them on and off. All right, enough with I/O. Let's start a program and start manipulating this thing. We come back to our menu button. We scroll down our drop-down list, or up in this case. We are under the teaching category, and we want to go under select a program. So here we can see all of the programs currently on the CRX. We could open one and we could start with one of those programs if we wanted to. We're going to be concerned in over here right now. We have open, new, delete, save as, rename, and details. We are going to start a new program, so we are going to be pressing the new button. The new program wants a name. I will call it pick place. And you can see it goes ahead and starts our new program. Give it just a second to load up. And now we are inside of our program. So let's look at the program layout a little bit. So one, we have our 3D image up here, right? 2 fingers can zoom in and out. Remember, 1 finger can scroll around. 3 fingers can move it around. So we have that. We have our what we call our timeline right here. So the CRX programmed via timeline. And then down here, we have all of our programming instructions. Currently, we are on all, but we have motion, control, I/O, vision, force, other. Then we have some favorites at the top here. History is what the last couple have been used, and favorites are anything that we saved as favorites. We will dive much deeper into all of these, and working through your legacy FANUC stuff, you'll learn things like circle arc, and things of that nature. We'll also learn about linear and joint moves. Right now, we just want to make this robot move. So let's go ahead and click on favorites. I have set some favorites here to complete this lab to just start programming. J with the little squiggly line. That is a joint move. So when we drag this up to the timeline, that then saves the robot position. So the robot is currently in this position right now. If I drag that up, position saved. Move the robot to a new spot, drag another one up, position saved. We can always get rid of these by dragging them, maybe. I don't know why I can't drag these back down, but let me try with the pen here. Huh, I don't know why I can't drag these back down. Oh, I see. It was locked. So right here, that's a good one. I didn't know this button. So right there, icon dragging on the program line is now disabled when I hit this button. If I hit it, it says icon dragging on the program is now possible. So now I can drag these around. So if I want to get rid of it, I just delete it down here. So let's go back to favorites, because I want to show you about how we are going to turn this air. So we want to pick a box up. We want to pick one of these boxes up with a suction cup. So to do that, we have a solenoid mounted on the side of the robot that controls the vacuum for the head on this robot. So I have created some quick functions here. I have done an air on and I've done an air off. I have made these and preloaded them. But all this is this is an output. So if I go to IO control, we see here we have just an output. If I drag this up and click on it, now I can control what I want. So I have DO and then a number. So I type whatever number I want here. Maybe that number is 5. And then I select what I want it to do. So at this point, I want DO5 to turn on. I continue through my program. And then later I do DO5 to off and shut that off. So that is how we work these outputs. If I just go ahead and drag these down, if we go back to my favorites and I drag air on, up, you can see I have this pre-configured to turn on the vacuum valve. So, and I also have it pre-configured to turn off the vacuum valve. You can just drag those up as needed. All right, I'm going to change the camera angle here and let's start moving this robot around and make a basic pick and place. All right, I have my program shell here, nothing on my timeline. I have set the area up. Our goal here is we have 2 boxes over here. We want to pick those boxes off the conveyor and we want to place them on this pallet. We're not trying to palletize at this point. I just want them placed here, right? It's just a pick from and a place here. So let's go ahead and get started. It's always nice to start with a home position. A home position is just like a neutral position for the robot. It's not in any weird position. It's naturally between both sections, so it can go here or there in about the same amount of time. So let's set that up. So I'm going to go into robot operations. I am at first going to be in the free mode. So free mode, I'm holding the dead man switch. I have a green blinking light right here, and now I can move this robot around. I'm going to move it right there. That's kind of a neutral position between the two. I'm also looking to see if this suction cup is fairly flat. In our next move, we will square it up with the top of here, and then we'll change jogging methods down here to keep it a little easier. So I like this as a home position. So dropping down on my robot operations, let's go ahead and drag a joint move up into the timeline. So now I need another joint move from home, right? I need to move down to that box. So holding the dead man switch again, I am going to manipulate the robot down to this first box. Remember, I am trying to keep that suction cup fairly centered on the box, as well as fairly flat. So I'm in a position where I need two hands to try to manipulate that. So I let go of the dead man switch. On the teach pendant here, freehand teaching. So that is a mode you can enable so you can use both hands to move the robot. So now freehand teaching, I'm now holding a dead man switch, but I have a green flashing light, and with two hands I can move this to do it a little more accurately. So let's get pretty close to it. So that's pretty flat. Now I'm not going to save a position right now because I like the orientation of that. So I'm going to turn off freehand teaching. I'm going to come over now to our jog menu, and I am going to switch to our Cartesian mode, and that gets me an XY. So remember, I want an approach, a pick, and a retract for most things. So I am on the box right now because I wanted to try to square it up. I'm going to now just give it a little X and just come straight up. So now I know I'm flat above it. So now I can close this down. I can drag another move up there, and there's my approach. So home and an approach. So now I want to pick, right? So I'll come back into my Cartesian jog, and I'll go straight down. That I'm touching the box, and I'll drag another move up in there. Now I'm on the box. I want to pick it up, so I need air. So I'm going to drag an air on. So that just turned the vacuum on, so that box should be being held there. I'm going to jog it again. I'm going to jog it up, assuming that box is on there, right? Because our air should be on. And I'm going to give it another move, and that is my retract. So that is my pick. Now I need to get over here, and I need to place it. So in moving the robot some, I like to go to joint for these big movements, and I like to grab axis, or I like to grab axis 1 or joint 1, right? And then that just swings the whole entire robot. So my tool is still staying flush. We are just spinning the whole entire robot, and I didn't have to do the whole XY jog the whole way over to this new position. I can get it close, and then we can manipulate it from that point. So I got it close. I'm going to switch back to Cartesian, and now I can align it a little closer over the pallet. Notice I'm doing this first box fully jogging from the tablet. I'm going to do the second box back in freehand mode just to show you the difference there. So there we're fairly above the pallet there. So I am going to drag another move up. So that can be our approach. I am going to come back down, and this can be our pick. It helps. You can put a box there. If you have an extra box, you can sit it right there, right? So now I can get my distance, so I'm not guessing. So about right there. I will drag another move there for the place, and I will turn the air off. Now I need to retract to that motion. So I will come up a little bit. And I will drag and retract there. And that is a pick from the conveyor and a place. All right. So we wrote a program for just one pick and one place. I did that via moving the robot around in the jog menu. For sake of time, I'm not going to program that second box, but I do want to show you another way you can move this robot around, keeping everything level. So if I come in the manual teaching, free mode, that's like our zero gravity mode. So that is every joint moving however we push it. If we come into translation here, what that does is that locks our tool to whatever position and just moves in a Cartesian format, so an XYZ. So if I go into translation and I do free teaching enabled, remember that is the one where I don't have to be holding the dead man switch. If you look here, it's moving straight up, straight out, straight over. It is completely in that Cartesian frame. I can't move or rotate this head or this tool. So that is a nice easy way. If I'm going to move over to that box, I can move around in that free mode without changing my orientation here. So I just wanted to show you that. Sometimes when you're pushing the robot around, you get a force limit. I just got one there. So I'm just going to push really hard on the robot. You can see I got a payload force warning. And I also got a contact limit warning. That's just because it thinks it ran into something. In free mode, you may get those more just because you're physically pushing. If you push too hard, you need to be very, very smooth with it. If I reset that, start it again, right? I'm just very light movements. If I try to push too hard, there it is, and I get that force warning. So you could also program like that. But what I want to do now is I want to show you how to run this program. So we always want to run a program first in step. And because we are just testing this program, we want to go step by step to check it out. So with our teach pendant enabled still, if I hit play, I get our play menu here where I have a run, then I have a forward, and I have a backwards. I also have a speed where I can drag this override speed here. What I want to do for testing, I want to hold the dead man switch, and I want to slide this to forward. So it says manual teaching, release the enable switch. So there we go. So if I go forward, it should start to cycle through our program. So there it goes to our home position. There it goes to our first position, our pick. It turned the vacuum on. And it came over here and it placed it. And then it should stop right there. So there you go. So the thing with the step is, let's say it was going down to that box and it wasn't right. I could just let go of it and it just stops right away. So finally, we step through a program. It works. I want to see it run in automatic. So come up here and disable our teach pendant. You notice our screen changes down here. We just have a run, pause, stop now. So you want to make sure your timeline starts from the beginning. So you'll see when I hit run here, are you sure you want to execute from the selected line or interrupt line? So what it wants here is it's saying that my cursor is not at the beginning of my timeline. So I'm going to drag it right there, or you could have interrupted it. I'm going to hit yes. The cursor is paused at a different point of the program. Do you want to start from where it's at? Yes. And I'll hit run. Are you sure you want to execute? Yes. You see we get green lights on our tower and on our robot, and this thing should run our program in automatic. There we go. That is a basic pick and place with the CRX robot.